Welcome to How to Beat the Difference with your hosts, Joanna and Paul. A podcast for the career you want, or maybe just that push you need. If you want to know what your dream career looks like, join us to get inspiration from industry experts that will make that dream career a reality.
Hello and welcome to How to Beat the Difference with your hosts, Paul Lynskey and
Johanna Molina. How are you today, Paul?
I'm good, Joanna. How's everything with yourself?
Really good. Everything is going really well. I have to ask you something. I know it's been more than a week, but how was St. Patrick's Day? Because I know it's a really big celebration in Ireland.
Yeah, and it's I suppose it's big around the world. I don't know. You see lots of buildings lit up green, and I know America. It's massive in America, but it was very quiet here for us in Ireland. I live in Dublin, and I live near the city centre, and there was nothing really happening. It was just, we're on a big lockdown here still in Dublin. So it's the second year in a row we've kind of had a very dull, disappointing Paddy's Day. But the sun was out for a change, which was amazing. And next year we'll be back to normal. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. You are right. Actually, in schools in Colombia, some of them actually celebrate St. Patrick's Day. So I think everyone in March is actually a little bit Irish, just to be able to have an excuse to celebrate, isn't it?
Yeah, I see. It's crazy. We're only a small little country, but somehow this day is around the world.
And so today we have a really important topic, which is how to break into NGOs with an amazing woman who has actually dedicated her life to helping others. And she's coming up a little later. But first, Paul, what are NGOs?
So if you were to type in NGOs into Google, the description you'll get is non-governmental organizations. And that includes those that support human rights, advocate for improved health, or encourage political participation. And some of these are non-profit, and all dividends then go back into the NGO. So as you can imagine, Joanna, it's extremely broad. It's hundreds and thousands of different organizations around the world are NGOs. Do you have any experience specifically with NGOs?
Well, I've been always drawn by NGOs, I think, since I was a teenager. I've been volunteering for NGOs, as you say, they're so broad, NGOs that build houses or support the elderly or children. And currently, I'm really honored to be in the board of advisors of Juanfe Foundation. We'll hear more about it later on. I also belong to the board of Mujeres TIC, which is a movement to empower women and also try to get more women in tech, as for its name, and more women in leadership position. But beyond that, I think it is beautiful and is rewarding being part of organizations. And it's actually a fantastic way for you to expand your personal network, because the people that I've met in those organizations are incredible and not necessarily from the same background or career field as mine. So if you want to expand your network, volunteering is a fantastic way to do so.
Brilliant. And as you can imagine, NGOs are being so broad and being so specific to your passion and what it is that you may be interested in. We've decided to dive into one particularly impressive woman, and I'd love you to do the intro, please, of Catalina Escobar.
So today we have Catalina Escobar. She's a renowned social entrepreneur, founder of Juanfe Foundation, helping hundreds of thousands of lives in Latin America. Catalina is a CNN hero, Social Entrepreneur of the Year by the World Economic Forum. She's also a counselor for the Presidency of Colombia on Women's Affairs. Catalina has been a member of the Global Board of Women's March since 2018, and she's been invited as a speaker to multiple conferences around the world, including WOBI, TED Women, Fortune Most Powerful Women, Nobel Peace Prize Summit, amongst others. Cata, we are so honored to have you here with us today. How are you? Where are you in the world?
I'm in Bogota, and it's freezing. So it looks like London, but it is not London. It's Bogota. But we're doing great. We're doing great. This year started very busy. and I love I love when I'm busy because there's a lot of passion involved in my job. So I'm very happy these days.
And we can't wait to hear more about it. So let's start from, how did you choose an NGO as your career? And tell us a little bit about the backstory of La Juanfe.
Well, as many of great NGOs, mainly they start like I did with either painful stories or circumstances or things like that, or because there's somebody who really makes or stops and starts taking actions from things that that person sees, like extreme poverty or something that makes you really feel compassionate towards other people. And that's the way I started. I lived in Cartagena for about 2.5 years. I had a little baby called Guillermo. He's now 24. And when you go to Cartagena, that, by the way, Cartagena is located in the northern Caribbean part of Colombia and is the city with the greatest social despair in this country. So you see very, beautiful, very high buildings like in Miami, but in 5 minutes or 5 minutes away, you're in the middle of, like, clearly Somalia or any poor country. I started engaging. My second son, Juan Felipe or Juanfe, was born there. And since minute one, I started engaging in a public hospital where half of population are born there. It's a very, very poor hospital. So I just started clearly like any other human being as a volunteer. But I didn't know that I was starting to write a story of a wonderful little baby that invited her mom to take a trip. So in that hospital, I stayed for I was working with an American firm. So I was a volunteer every Tuesday and every Friday, every Tuesday and every Thursday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. I was there and I loved it. And I actually fell in love with these people. So the story started there. And what I didn't know was that I was starting to write a book of compassion for the world and falling in love with the people. So I witnessed how a little baby died because a teen mother failed to raise $30 or $20 to pay for her baby's treatment. And that baby died with me. And 5 days later, my little Juanfe fell from an 8th floor balcony and he left us in this world. So that's the sad story. But the beautiful story is that he actually asked me, Mom, I'm going to be taking a trip. Do you want to come with me? And I accepted. And the trip was actually digging into people's hearts and misery in order to understand and fall in love with them so we can make a social transformation in their lives. So my career actually started from my heart, but with my structure. I majored in business. I had a minor in economics and did an MBA. And I needed also to prove that I would run a non-for-profit like business and like a social sector. And that means that you need to also measure impact. That means that also you have to be a leader and you also have to raise your arguments. Since day one, we wanted to actually engage into the nonprofit sector, measuring impact. And we did it since day one. And I will tell you, Cartagena used to have the highest infant mortality rate in Colombia and the third in Latin America. I won't take much time to explain how we did it, but we basically focused on the problem, and it was the neonatal deaths. 85% of the deaths of children were in the first month of of being alive these babies, which is called neonatal deaths. And we created an intensive care unit for babies in a very, very short time. In the meantime, nobody would believe in this crazy woman because people thought that I was, trying to make my son survive within and I believed it too. But nobody knew that I was very, very serious about this. And poverty, you need to take it very serious. So we lowered the total infant mortality rate within 8 years by 81%, with no public policy whatsoever. In the meantime, we wanted to go to the root cause, and the root cause was teen pregnancy. We saved the lives of more than 4,600 little babies. We worked with about 22,000 children that were in extreme malnutrition, saving their lives. We've been working with more than 210,000 patients of a city of 1 million people without any money from government, and teen mothers. So our impact after 20 years has been more than almost 280,000 people. So teen mothers, it's like my very best passion. Teen pregnancy is what actually perpetuates poverty in developing nations. Is the beginning of poverty. And these girls, when they get pregnant, before the age of 20, they already have 3 kids. And it's completely unsustainable for our countries, number one. And number two, is not fair for these girls. Because we cannot think as having babies as their unique, the unique dream. Juanfe breaks cycles of poverty. It is actually an economic model. We're stopping poverty and generating local GDP. That's what makes me a social entrepreneur. And every single day of my life, I have to open new roads, new spaces. And that's what I do every day and every night. But also, you also have to decide if you want to become a leader. And when you become a leader is when you bring these girls' voices out there in the world. And that's what I do, basically.
That's beautiful. I think I was about to ask you because teenage pregnancy is a subject that not everyone understands how big it is. So I'm glad that you mentioned, because until I got to La Juanfe, I didn't know really how big it is as a problem and how much impact it has for the society, really. Because if these girls don't then study and don't contribute to the economy, that's the cycle that you mentioned, the poverty cycle, where you have kids raising kids and these kids are not loved and
it goes
everything
spiral.
else.
It's
Exactly.
Totally spiral.
And I mean, Kat, I've heard you share the story a million times, and obviously my eyes water every single time. This is one of my favorite cases of resilience in the entire world. But going back into the career field of NGOs, for someone that is out there listening and wanting to be part of this, how can someone break into and actually succeed in a career in NGO? What is it like as a career?
Being in a nonprofit sector, you need to understand that you belong to a sector. It's like the financial area. It's like the financial industry, or it's like any industry in the world, because we belong to an economy anyways. And building a career here is exactly the same as building a career in somewhere else. Because people think that in NGOs, you touch lives of people, you think you don't measure yourself, and you don't actually measure your impact. I've faced many challenges in this career, let me tell you. And I'm very thankful that actually what we do is learn from these people in order to help them in so many ways. Having a career as an NGO doesn't mean you have to be back in your desk and keeping away from people. What really makes you successful in this career is that your heart, your soul, your mind, your entire self must belong to these people. And that's a very serious decision. You can be in a bank behind a desk, which is fine. And you can be behind in so many other things. But in this place, you know, most economists, and I must put myself in that place as an economist, you can give a lot of lectures. You can stand up and give a lot of lectures. But that doesn't work if you don't put your hands on the society and the people. Otherwise, you're not proving anything whatsoever. And let me give you a great example. Esther Duflo, she's one of the best economists in the United States. She wrote an amazing book called Poor Economics. She is the best, and her book was written like in the 2008 or so. And she wanted to bring NGOs into clear measurements. And she put all the economists into action. But we need to prove it as well. We cannot we cannot give arguments in just observing and giving thoughts. You don't do that. Over here, you have also need to prove what you do in order to give these models into the economy. Our model is called an economic model, and is the best thing when you measure, when you're good at it, but also if you understand why these people make those decisions, why these people make decisions on how to be poor every single day, and why they keep doing it. Because from our point of view, you know, when you actually draw the pyramid of development, people who are in the top must go to the bottom. That's why I put it upside down completely. We need to put poor people as first.
And just specifically for someone trying to break into a career in an NGO, do you think it should be a personal kind of passion that they follow to go into that NGO? Or
let me tell you something. Passion is worthless if you don't have structure. Because there are many entrepreneurs in the economic sector that are really passionate about a project, but if they don't bring it down into metrics, it's worthless. Here is exactly the same. Before engaging in the social sector, I was a very successful businesswoman. I was in the corporate world. And actually my wage, and I was doing pretty well professionally. And I thought, I wouldn't leave this corporate world if I don't do it well in the NGOs. Because I was doing great in the other part. Actually, I was doing pretty well. And I was, having my great bucks on my pocket. And over here, I wouldn't come to, do it really bad and lousy just because it's the social sector, just because it's an NGO. In Colombia, we were against the status quo in many things. Johan knows me very much. And breaking the status quo is taking the most difficult path. But I don't regret it because it's been the greatest one. Because we're making really, really high social impact. But it's not just about being passionate. Being passionate is amazing. It's amazing because when you get into these people's minds and these people's hearts, you understand what they feel, you learn. But then your vocabulary will be high enough so I can connect with business people so they can donate. So I'm a bridge. I'm a bridge and exchanging their thoughts into their ideas. And that's what I think is the good about bringing a career in NGOs.
Brilliant. And you explained a little bit there, you left the business world and you focused on an NGO, and we understand money is not the number one driver for people interested in this sector. But a common myth is that you volunteer in NGOs. Is it, from your experience, can you earn a living from a career in an NGO?
Let me tell you something about this, and it is important to. I read a book a while ago about a woman in Australia that helped people to die in a decent way. And her book talks about what people regret before they die. And one of the things that people regret before they die is that they don't have a passion in their lives and they don't have a purpose. And that's the best way I can answer you about this. Having a life with purpose is what really makes you happy within yourself. And you don't have to start a non-for-profit, not necessarily. You can be in the private sector, like I was, but I didn't have a deep passion and a deep purpose. You can be working in a bank, or you can be working in the corporate world, but still have a purpose. And the purpose means that whatever you do, you touch the lives of people, period. Or you create a better and sustainable environment. Or you create wealth for everybody, not only for the rich. I don't know if you read this book about Raj Sisodia, which is a friend of mine. He's professor from Babson College. He's the big mind of conscious capitalism. That's a life with purpose. So coming from the corporate world and being then into an NGO, it wasn't such a big shift because I was already building my own capacity to have a life with purpose. And if you ask me 20 years ago, before I started Juanfe Foundation, you will ask me, are you a good citizen? Yes, I was a very good citizen. Are you a taxpayer? Yes, I pay my taxes. Do you respect people and your peers? And yes, I do. I did. But that's what everybody does. And that's what I actually didn't like, what everybody did. Because what everybody does is not working, is not changing the world. So making a true decision about yourself, it's really digging into your heart and into your real purpose. And then you can create an impact. Otherwise, you won't.
And then that leads me to talk a little bit about habits, Cata. I would love to know, what are those habits that you would recommend to succeed in any career?
This is going to sound like I don't know how it's going to sound, but you got to be a good human being. You really have to be in the right place and treating people in a compassionate way. But you also have to have character. And you know me, Johanna, I do have character. But the first thing is respect yourself mostly. Love yourself mostly. Once you're good, once you're inspired, once you're a good person, you can create, you can impact, you can touch the lives of the people 20 years ago, I didn't know that I was going to be like this right now. And we have a lot of projects. Be very focused. Love what you do passionately. Every single day, wake up with gratitude. Seriously, I'm not joking around. Every single day, in whatever situation you are, you will always have good things rather than bad things, and you need to give thanks. Open yourself to opportunities. Like, put yourself in your mind and set yourself in a way that you must be positive. Enjoy the ride, please. When people are walking the streets, they don't give themselves a real chance to be happy during the ride. Inspire, please, inspire other people. Be confident. Try to be a good human being. Enjoy the ride. Don't be that serious.
I love all of that. And I know, well, we are now in March, International Women's Month. And I would love to ask you, lastly, what would be your advice to all these women out there that are inspired by your career?
We need to create a better environment. Many people don't really know what feminism is. And feminism is bringing everybody in the environment, in the same environment. Men, women, and LGBT community. We all deserve same opportunities, but raise the argument, please. We need to speak better for ourselves. Let's mentor each other. Sometimes women are bitchy with other women. We need to create an environment where we can help put wings to other women, but with love, not with competition, with respect. And what I'm starting to do is mentoring other women. It's so important to mentor somebody because I'm giving my wings to her so she can be better and hopefully better than myself. So what's important here is actually raise awareness, but raise the argument and creating better discussions and giving girls a lot better opportunities. And better opportunities means, I don't know if you heard about the dream gap. Have you heard about the dream gap? Dream gap is that by the age of 8, girls at the age of 8 years old, they love to be scientists. They want to be mathematicians. By the age of 12, on those 4 years, we lost them. We lost them. And we need to create that platform where they can follow their dreams, and we're not doing it right. So that's what I think we should do in terms of women equality and women opportunities.
That's all really inspirational. It's been a pleasure, Cata, having you with us here. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more that we can speak about, but we know your time is limited. And so we can maybe invite you in another show later on. But thank you so much for being with us today. It's been a real pleasure having you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Joha. You know, you have somebody here cheering for you as well. So thanks again for this great opportunity.
And that was brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. What about you, Paul?
Oh, it was, her story is absolutely amazing. It's so powerful, and the difference she's making is incredible. Really is.
Yes. I can't get enough. Every time I hear the story, I learn something new. And that's it from today.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's it from today. You can reach us at howtobetheDifference@theinterngroup.com or across social media at The Intern Group. And please rate and review wherever you get your podcasts from, because it helps us out quite a bit. And until next time, I'll see you later. Take it easy.
Take it easy. Until next time.